Hey there, so I wanted to come back and give you guys another lesson on divination with playing cards. And I thought the best one to actually show you today would be a few spreads on obstacles and enemies. Okay, I thought that this lesson was important mainly because I've experienced this, and I think that anybody who is alive in 2024 needs to understand that we definitely have to deal with things that we don't necessarily want to. We don't want to think of ourselves of ever having enemies. Some of us, when we think of the word enemy, we automatically think, well, you try to do an evaluation of yourself because you don't want to think that you actually have enemies. So you start thinking, okay, I can't possibly have a conflict with this person. I couldn't possibly have a conflict with this person. You think of yourself as somebody who minds your own business. You think of yourself somebody who just focuses on whatever it is you need to do, and you're just kind of staying in what they call staying in your own lane, okay? But there are sometimes we have enemies that are beyond our control. And I would like to say that the majority of people do have enemies, okay? We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded with all kinds of demands that we need for our comfort. And unfortunately, the monetary system kind of runs on this sort of behavior. We are very stressed out. We're trying to survive, and oftentimes people are willing to throw other people under the bus to do it. Family members, that could be any family member. It could be a mother to a child to a mother. It could be a father to a son. It could be basically somebody abusing their children financially, emotionally, anything you can think of, okay? Then when we think about the work sector, we have people who may be envious of us, okay? They may have never said a word to us, never told how they felt about you, okay? And there's a lot of mask wearing in this world, okay? A lot of people, you might think, oh, this person's helpful. I was just thinking recently about, my own situation, about people that I've known who betrayed me. You know what I mean? And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to people about being aware of our enemies, and how do we deal with them, okay? But there are some people that that are in our lives who wear the mask very well, and so we often think that we don't have to be suspicious of them. We just deal with them maybe at work. Maybe we see them at family holiday dinners. Maybe we might encounter them occasionally at the grocery store, whatever. But usually the interaction with them seems pleasant. There's been times where I'm looking back on people who've done favors for me out of the blue, and you think of on the surface, the mask that they're wearing is, I'm being helpful because I care about you. Or, you're my sister-in-law, we're family, I'm going to show that I care for you. You're protected. This is what the kind of family unit is supposed to make you feel like. Warm, loved, caring, nurturing, blah, 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 right? So you just think, hey, this is my family, whatever. So this is one of the reasons why it can be very disturbing for some people to come to the understanding that this is not the real reality. Okay, when I talk about magic and the occult deals with hidden knowledge, okay? And I will say that some people cannot handle the occult for several reasons, okay? And one of the reasons why a lot of people took the occult out of the hands of people is because some people can abuse it, and some people are just not ready to deal with certain facts of life, okay? And I would say when you come to certain hidden knowledge about things, you may not be ready to deal with that fact of life, okay? Because there's certain people in your life. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but this is one of the reasons why it's really important to find out who is working against you. And oftentimes in 2024, there's a lot of people who could be hidden. We have a lot of hidden enemies, and they have so many different ways of getting at you, okay? Especially when they can take advantage of things like chat rooms, the way they call it, the dark web, whatever, okay? So we definitely have enemies. And what I wanted to go on and say and add to the issue of not people who may not be psychologically ready to accept and come to the realization that so-and-so that they've known for 25 years was basically plotting their death. Okay? But these things happen. And like I said, the sad part about it is that we have so much beauty in the world. The beauty that it does exist in the world is in our rivers, in the rivers and the streams, the seas, the oceans, the trees, the flowers, whatever. Okay? But like I said, most people are only trying to survive. They're trying to survive, and they will do so at your expense. Okay? And this is one of the reasons why it's very important, especially in 2024, to know who your enemy is. Okay? Now, I remember Benjamin Franklin was known for saying there's two things in this world, or something like that, that one cannot avoid. That's death and taxes. I would like to add the inevitable enemy. Okay? Unfortunately, like I said, it's very hard for us to avoid them. You know, like I said, the person who's walking the straight and narrow path, the person who's minding their own business, you know, the guy who gives to charities and stuff like that, and he seems like everyone would like him. But there's some people who fucking hate him just because of this fact that he has the ability to give to charities. Just because he is somebody who's well liked by other people. Here's the thing: if you're well liked by other people, you're going to have enemies. There's certain things in this world that's going to create enemies. When you try to improve your life, okay? Like, for example, maybe a person started their own business, opened a company or something. Or maybe a girl, like, for example, I know when I lost a lot of weight, right? People were fucking hounds about it. Okay? And they get envious. They have no right to take possession of anything on my body, but it can make people very evil to the point of where they want to kill you. Okay, this is not a joke. There's a lot of unhappy people in the world. A lot of unhappy people in the world. Okay, and even though they should know better as an adult, you do not touch things that do not belong to you. How many times has your mother told you that? Okay, how many times has a black mother told that to her child? How many times have a white mother told that to her child? How many times have a Mexican person told that child? I think pretty much everyone around the world knows you don't touch shit that don't belong to you. Okay, but when we talk about things like envy, greed, jealousy, this sort of shit can get out of control to the point of where I honestly believe that some of it can come down to the actual demonic. Okay, but whatever the case is, it's important for you to be aware that we do have enemies. Now, I did do my first card reading information that I gave you guys, the divination for playing cards, was dealing with a 3-card reading. Okay, and that was to see if you wanted to work towards your goal. Now, the one wonderful thing about the 3-card reading is it can be used for different things, and I'm going to be showing you guys different spreads that you guys can use to lay out certain questions. There's all kinds of spreads out there in the world, and whatever kind of spread can be used for tarot can also be used for playing cards. Mind you, I will be doing a tarot lesson this summer, okay? But right now we're working with the playing cards, okay? Now, it's important to know that when you are I provided you guys the definitions of all the playing cards, okay? Now, I want you to understand that those are going to be the playing card definitions for all the readings. So it doesn't matter what spread, just like, you know, when I showed you the 3-card reading and then I showed you the 10-card reading, okay? The card readings are going to be the same. But you can always create different tarot spreads. Like there was one, I call it tarot spreads, but they're actually playing card spreads or whatever. There was one particular reading that was actually laid out in circles. You can lay them out maybe side by side, and you can create your own playing card reading. Okay, so what I try to do is I try to give people a foundation and give them certain options on what to do, and then they can take it on their own. You know what I mean? So I'm basically saying, I do want to encourage people, when you guys get used to working with the cards, that you guys will be comfortable enough to do the little experiments, okay? Like, for example, you might want to lay out a card in a design of a square. Okay, you want 4 cards because you want to be able to find out past, present, the current or the most upcoming future, and then the end result. You can make up spreads yourself, okay, but you usually want to base that spread on a particular subject matter. Okay, in this case today I'm talking about obstacles and enemies. And I also want to let you guys know that some of you guys may be a little bit freaked out about experimenting with the divination cards, okay? Because a lot of people are very skeptical when they first get into this, okay? And a lot of people do not have very much psychic powers, okay? But when you're working with divination cards, okay, that particular tool is kind of helps tap into your psychic centers, okay, your dormant psychic abilities. And what it does is you end up picking the right card. I remember when I was younger, I used to wonder, like, I found tarot cards when I was younger, like a teenager. I found them like mysterious because I kept wondering, how in the world do people pull those cards? Like, how does that work as a form of divination? Okay. Well, it is based on your intuition. Like I said, very dormant, but there's something about those tarot cards or playing cards that does tap into it, and so those cards are going to be right. All right, so get comfortable with them. Okay. I do realize that I also wanted to say before I'm always digressing. It's so ridiculous, but I also wanted to say that I want you to feel comfortable to start experimenting with your own spreads, and I also want you to understand that sometimes there might be information that you may not be ready to accept, like what I was talking about. It's very difficult for me when I understood that I was a targeted individual and that I had people who were working against me. Okay, it was a very, very painful thing, and I was not prepared to accept this fact at first. It was like, because when you realize that there are people that literally wear that mask so well, and they have become a comfortable part of your life, it can be very devastating. Okay, and some of you guys might be in situations where you might be in a similar situation to me, or you might come to find out that you might be a woman, for example, who doesn't have any support system. Okay, you're finding out maybe that your husband may not be all that he says he is. Okay, and so your next strategy is you might want to start looking into who your family is, because who's your support system? It really does boil down to that right now, because like I said, we live in a world where people are desperate. You know what I mean? They're desperate. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. And there's a lot of people who stab each other in the back. It doesn't matter what their class is. It doesn't matter what their race is. You know what I mean? Because people appear, I can tell you all the people that I have known, some of these people, just by looking at them, you would never know. You would never know, okay? If I wasn't psychic and didn't tap into what these people were really all about, I probably would never give them a second thought. And some of these people wear their mask very, very well, to the point of where they just literally switch from one mode to another. Here they are, they're sitting here gossiping about you, talking shit about you, and their facial expressions is getting real nasty and whatever. And then the minute you walk in the room, they're just as sweet, and their aura has completely changed, because a lot of these people are multiples. Meaning there's a lot of multiple personality, split-minded people in society. They don't even realize it, because this corrupt society has become the norm. Okay, so, and I honestly was thinking about, the order of what kind of videos I wanted to provide my audience, and I kept thinking, this is the most important thing that a person needs to know. Okay, but in this world, you have to be strong. And if sometimes hidden knowledge that gets revealed might be too much for people. Like, I know a lot of women, okay, some women think of me as strong. People used to always tell me I was strong, okay, because somehow or another, they probably wouldn't have been able to handle it. Okay? I have been through some pretty devastating stuff. And I know that I'm a very strong person. But when you find out that people were willing to hurt me, okay, in the manner that they were trying to hurt me, and I'm one of those people that does just go to work and come home and I mind my own business. Okay? Some people are set up in environments where they're meant to have enemies, meaning their family was never meant to be their loving support system. It was all for show. Okay? In 2024, you need to know who your enemies are. Okay? It's just that simple. Okay? So these particular spreads that I'm going to be showing you, I want you guys to get in the practice of those, and then, like I said, fly with your own wings. Okay? I'm going to make very easy spreads for you guys, and I also wanted to know to be more interactive. What I mean by that is, like, I get the feeling that a lot of people think that my instructional videos their tone is correct for instructions, but like when I really want to explain the topic, like I wanted to do some sort of introductory first and then kind of talk about it. And I think I want to satisfy both people, because you know what? I like to sit here and give my little instructional step by step, but I also want to be more flexible and then just kind of talk to you guys loosely. And I think that this kind of hopefully kills two birds with one stone. So let's get into these tarot spreads. Okay, so then this video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you two different card spreads. One is called the relationship reading, and this is a reading based on, like for example, if you suspect maybe one of your friends or your family members or maybe your spouse is kind of throwing you under the bus. And like I said, when you look into these readings, okay, you have to be ready for hearing bad news, okay? Because like I said, some of these people wear masks, okay? And I'm not saying that you have to sit here and break out your deck of playing cards for every single person that you know. And I highly suggest you not do that, okay? But, there are some times where people kind of give you a little bit of an indication that they might be working against you. And for those people, they're kind of sending off that signal, and so you're going to be suspicious of them, and you have the right to protect yourself, okay? People are never going to tell you that they're plotting against you. We deal with people who are around us every day. Every day we see them in the workplace. They're in our neighborhoods, and sadly, sometimes they're in our own family. I mean, like in the same house, okay? And so it's really important that you understand what you're working with and understand their mindset. Now, in the next, after the relationship reading lesson, I'm going to be giving you an example on how to, just kind of experiment with your own kinds of spreads, okay? Like in the first divination by Divination Before Spell Work, I had given two examples, a 3-card reading, okay, and I also gave an example of a 10-card reading, which sometimes people refer to as the Celtic Cross reading, right? And really, you can actually expand those, or you can actually change the shape of them anytime you want to. Like for example, if you want to work, you want to do some different readings, you don't have to have 10 cards. You can maybe reduce it to 5, or maybe you want to lay out certain designs, by yourself. There's been like some tarot readings or spreads that have like are shaped like a crescent moon or like a U shape. Sometimes they're, however it is you want to. There is absolutely no right or wrong. The point is that you want to get as connected to your cards as you possibly can. And this video is an example on how to do that. Now, the video Divination by Playing Cards is available on Patreon. And this is going to be the second lesson of the playing card lessons and divination in general, because I do plan on teaching different forms of divination. I will also be playing tarot. The reason why I started off with the divination by playing cards is because I wanted to make it easy for my viewers, okay? Not everybody wants to spend money on tarot cards because we know how expensive they can be, okay? But they're worth it because they're very beautiful. Some of them are. Some of them have wonderful pictures on them, and they speak to each person differently. But I figured that I would start easy and suggested people pulling out their playing cards, which most people have somewhere, maybe in their garage or somewhere. So I started with that. I did create a divination by playing cards guide, which I do have attached to that video on Patreon. Okay, the guide is going to be updated as of April 23rd. Now, I just want to also mention that I am a one-woman show, okay? The Swan Song Manifesto is about a woman who's basically struggled and somehow managed to unwind so much in her life, right? And come to realize that her life really wasn't what she thought it was, okay? And also, I'm talking about the occult. There's so many different things. But my startup issue, which I know that I'm getting a lot of like criticism for it a little bit. I can sense that meaning because I'm talking about my perps. I'm talking about the people who are jealous of me and the people who got what they deserved. They're basically picking apart some of my stuff because like they're saying, well, she should be doing this, she should be doing that. You're absolutely right. I'm taking note of everything that I should be doing. Okay. I have to sit here and go along, as work as I go along. Okay. I do not have a staff. So, and I do not have, the ability to to edit certain things or design things a certain way because I don't have those skills. My mission in my life, in my journey of life, is that I've always had to just jump in and do it. I just had to jump in and do it. And I think maybe that could stand for something. Maybe that can mean something to a person, because don't be afraid to do something if it's in your heart. You can learn as you go along. I'm not afraid to do that. And I think this is what stagnates a lot of people. As time goes on, I'm noticing that I'm developing certain methods to build and be able to restructure. So like in this example, I'm talking about the divination by playing card spreadsheet. I'm basically telling people that I'm adding two new spreadsheets, or spreads, or reading spreads or whatever on the guide. Okay. And then as I continue to build different spreads, is what I will do is build an official table of contents. But this is how I'm working as I go along, as a one-staffed person. Okay. Now, mind you, I write all my content and I narrate all my content, and then I have to. I know there were some people who were talking about my logo. These are the people who've been like, my naysayers. Okay. Like I said, I am a one-woman show, and why is Maria a one-woman show? Because I've dealt with your abuse. That's why. So moving on. I have nothing to be ashamed of, and just keep going. And that goes for anybody who feels like, well, I'm afraid to try. I don't have the. Just, you know what? Just jump in and do it. Jump in and do it, and you'll be fine. And I will tell you, this has been my experience my entire life. Okay, from me having my child and moving and getting jobs and whatever. I never let the fact that I didn't have this, that, whatever stop me from jumping in and getting the job done. Okay, and this could be, and I know people are like, well, that's different, Maria, you're superior and blah 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 blah. No. It's all really your mindset. Because I remember there was a time when I was around a lot of toxic people, I felt as though I couldn't do anything. As a matter of fact, I felt like I couldn't even talk straight. And I still sometimes deal with a little bit of a speech impediment, mainly because throughout my life, I have been bullied so many times, like trying to figure like, what are you doing? What's going on? This sort of shit that was going on, okay? And still to this day, there's sometimes I deal with like a lot of conflict in my mind about explaining certain things. Okay, because I feel like, should I hold back what I really want to say? Because if I say what I really want to say, it's going to be explosive, and this is what causes a lot of the stammering and stuff like that. I feel as though I'm better a communicator when if somebody is causing me that much frustration. Mind you, I've been around some pretty grotesque people. Okay, so bad that it's like, you know what? I cannot kill this person, but I could certainly serve them up a good tongue lashing. Okay, so I stopped holding back. And guess what happened? People started respecting me. Okay, I was no longer the person that you could just sit here and walk over. Okay, and I know they try you. They try you all the time. Okay, but I'm somebody who's going to stand for getting in there and doing it. Somebody who, just learn from this lesson. Pick up what you want in life and don't let anyone stop you from doing it. Okay, so anyway. I am building things slowly but surely. Now, in this example, okay, I was talking about, sometimes enemies can be obstacles. As a matter of fact, most of the time, enemies are obstacles. And why do I say this? Why do I say this? Because they can be obstacles in different ways. Okay, sometimes we have people who want to walk in the office and purposely roll their eyes at you. Okay, to let you know they just don't like you. Now, they may not take it any further than that. Okay, it could very well be just them rolling their eyes at you, and that's it. Okay, but it could be somebody who's rolling their eyes at you because they're friends with somebody who's really fucking your life over. I mean, going around and blacklisting you and talking about you. So this person it could be an indication that this person could be a part of a network. Okay, now I know nobody wants to take it that far, okay, but I will tell you, because people are so untamed and so unruly and have absolutely zero structure, no moral compass whatsoever, people tend to use their free time on ganging up on people. It is that common, okay, and it's that normalized. All right, and so I'm just telling you, wake up. All right, so most of the time, the betrayal mostly hurts, okay? is when it comes from people that you've known from a very long time, okay? So in this example of this little spread, now mind you, this spread is called the relationship reading, which requires only 3 cards that you're going to be pulling from the deck, all right? Now this relationship reading looks exactly like the 3-card reading that I've shown in my previous video, Divination by Playing Card, okay? But instead of it representing past, present, future, it's basically an overall view of the relationship, okay? So in this example, Kelly and Beth have been friends since kindergarten, okay? But lately, Beth seems cold and distant. Okay, and Kelly decides to do a quick relationship reading. Okay, so Kelly shuffles the cards and she pulls out the 3 of hearts, the 4 of clubs, and the 5 of diamonds. Referring to the Divination by Playing Cards manual, Kelly interprets each card left to right. So the 3 of hearts means to be careful in dealing with others and watch your words. The interpretation for 4 of clubs means betrayals, lies, and deceit. Expect changes for the worst. And the last card she drew was the 5 of diamonds, happiness and achievement with family and friends, businesses thriving, joyous times. Now, what I gather from this particular reading is that obviously Kelly, is noticing that there's some weird things going on with her friend Beth. And so these are the cards that she picked, okay? So the first card basically saying that Beth, right, seems like you have to be careful with your words when you're around her, okay? So be very careful. Now, mind you, in this scenario, Kelly and Beth have been friends since kindergarten. So we'll say they're probably adults. So that's a long-term attachment that Kelly feels towards this person. But now she finds out that, you got to be careful with her. So now Kelly's probably thinking all the times that she's invited Beth over to her house, all the things that she shared about, about herself and whatever. Now she realizes she has to be very careful with Beth. Now, the 4 of clubs indicates that, hey, you know what? Beth is like lying, she's betraying you and deceiving you. And when it says expect changes for the worse, means that somehow or another, Beth has some sort of like control over certain things that go on in Kelly's life. Okay? So the 5 of diamonds looks like that's pretty positive, okay? So basically, Kelly's existing in a positive manner with her family and friends, but she seems to have this one particular person, Beth, okay? But she needs to be very careful about Beth. Okay, that doesn't mean that, Kelly's going to sit here and forget about her positive things that she's got going. And it doesn't mean, what it does mean, though, is that even though that's a very long-term relationship that she has with Beth, she needs to realize that she cannot count Beth as one of her close confidants. Okay, now sometimes like in my case, I don't fucking ever want to see the people who hurt me ever again. Okay, I can't handle it. Okay, sometimes, like for example, let's just say in this scenario, Kelly has more than just an attachment of knowing that Beth from kindergarten. Maybe Beth may have married Kelly's brother. Wouldn't that be a nightmare? So now you got to look at this like traitor all the time when you go to holiday dinners. Isn't that uncomfortable, right? Mind you, overall, the family is happy and stuff like that, but she knows that she needs to watch it with Beth. Okay, that's what that means. But ideally, if you possibly can distance yourself as much as you possibly can from toxic people, that would be ideal. Okay. Now, the next thread I'm going to show you is the one that I'm creating myself, and I hope that you guys get encouraged to do one yourself. Okay, I've created the friend or foe reading, and feel free to use this spread for family members, so-called friends, co-workers, neighbors, etc. Okay, I created this spread to find out 5 important questions when you're trying to figure out if somebody is your enemy. Okay, so in this example, Kelly performs the reading on her friend Beth. Now, just to remind you that in the relationship reading that was previously done, the scenario is that Kelly and Beth have been pretty good friends since kindergarten. So it's a very long-term relationship. There's like, you obviously have spent time with this person for quite a long time. Both of these ladies are adults, okay? So Kelly is performing a reading to find out if Beth is indeed her enemy. So the first on the layout that I created, and it's very basic, okay? You can, when you want to create a spread of some sort, you can make as many boxes as you want. Whatever questions you have, you want to put them in little boxes, okay? Like in this case, I have, why does the suspect have an issue with you? In other words, why is the person, in this case, Beth, what is her issue with Kelly? What is the root of the problem? Why is it that there is some sort of tension between these two? So when I pulled the card for, well, when Kelly pulls the card, okay, for this reading, the first card that she received was the Ten of Diamonds. And so the definition of the Ten of Diamonds answers the question as to why Beth has an issue with Kelly. The answer to that would be she sees Kelly as someone who has great things that are always happening in her life, and she has happiness, fulfillment in her finances and her personal goals, and she's always expecting more money in her life, and she also has the possibility of traveling. So this obviously causes her friend Beth to see her in an envious way. Now, maybe Beth and Kelly were great friends in kindergarten, okay? But, you know, maybe it was always an enemy type situation. But the fact is, now Kelly has an idea as to why Beth is behaving, you know, kind of distance towards her. She perceives Kelly to have everything, and she is envious of that. Card number 2 is for what is their reason for being friends with you. Okay, in this example, Kelly pulls the Seven of Diamonds, which lets her know that Beth is deceiving her, and it relates to someone, it relates to Kelly being deceived by someone in the workplace, okay, which can have long-term effects, negative long-term effects, okay? These are my interpretations on the divination by playing cards, okay? So remember the scenario. Beth and Kelly have been friends since kindergarten, okay? Now, Beth and Kelly are friends. They are not co-workers, right? So we can see that there's some sort of deception that's being played out in the workplace. So it would be very easy for Kelly to come to the conclusion that perhaps maybe not just Beth has some sort of resentment towards Kelly, but it could be a part like of a network that is showing their resentment towards Kelly, and Beth is just one of those people, since she's close to Kelly, to be the informant for this particular group. Okay, card number 3 is for the question, what is the positive side to the relationship? And the answer would be the Eight of Hearts, which the interpretation would be visiting friends and receiving visitors, invitations to gatherings and parties. Now, just because this has an Eight of Hearts is a pretty good card, okay? So what I'm understanding from this is that Beth and Kelly, of course, since they've known each other since school years, right, that they're part of the same network, okay? And perhaps maybe they get benefits from that network. In this case, like Kelly, you know, she seems to be doing well, has a nice job and everything like that. And of course, Beth is of the same network. She belongs to the same group of people, same friends, whatever. But she has this envy towards Kelly, because maybe Kelly might perform her job a little bit better. Maybe Kelly might be orderly. Maybe Kelly has a nice house. Kelly seems to have everything, you know, based on the views of this particular network, okay? Card number 4 asks the question, what are the dangers of this relationship, okay? And so the interpretation of the Five of Spades is your home life is threatened by outside forces. Okay, so in this case, you know, obviously Beth it would be that outside force. Remember, she's just Kimberly's friend. I mean, not Kimberly's friend. She's Kelly's friend, okay? And they've been friends for very, very many years, okay? But Beth is now coming over to Kelly's house, not to be friends, not to socialize, not for checkup visits, okay? Now, she might be coming over to pretend that she's checking up to show that she cares. But what she's doing is she's scoping out Kelly's house. What new things have Kelly bought? You know, what is Kelly looking like these days? What is in her refrigerator? You know, telling things about, getting as much information as she possibly can about Kelly and her living arrangements, and she goes back and she tells the network, okay? Now the network gets all like, you know, I don't know, they start talking and debating because deep down inside the envy is starting to escalate, okay, over this one person, this fixation on this person, which would be Kelly. Okay, so that brings us to the fifth and final card, and that question is, how can the issue be resolved? Okay, now the last card that she pulled for number 5, she got the 3 of spades, okay, and the answer would be hard obstacles that seem like a constant battle, bad vibes from family and friends. So the question is, how can the issue be resolved? And according to this network that Beth belongs to, their goal is to bully this person to the point of suicide. Period. Okay? Because it doesn't seem like this particular answer does not seem to indicate that they're going to stop. Okay? Now, this is the final spread that I have created as an example. Okay? Now, I think a lot of people kind of recognize, like, man, that kind of sounds like my story, right? I did do a video yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And I was talking about my situation with a particular Libra 14 who I have put the puzzle together. Now, I think everybody who's been following my channel knows that I have been dealing with these people who have created ridiculous obstacles for me, okay? Mainly because they see me as somebody who has everything, okay? And a lot of people think that this sort of behavior is okay. Unfortunately, you know, crime is running amok right now, and this is the reason why I decided to make this particular video, okay? People are normalizing this sort of genocide that is getting acted out in the open. It's being institutionalized. And this is the reason why, in my case, this was a huge issue. Okay? And this is becoming quite common. Okay? The only reason why, you know, my issues, I mean, sure, I'm a clone and everything else, okay? But when it comes down to the everyday person, okay, other people, okay, they're experiencing very, very similar things, okay? Because people really don't have any other activity that they enjoy more than killing people silently, putting them in programs that is meant to kill them. Okay, this is what genocide, or should I say, targeted individuals have been talking about. Okay, now of course we're going to eliminate the whole issue of like tarot or playing card readings or some form of divination, because that's not something that runs rampant or even really is well known in the target individual community. The reason why I am demonstrating these different forms of divination and dealing and bringing up enemies and obstacles is because right now people, the crime is just out of control. Okay, now I live in the United States, okay, and the reason why this stuff is so common is because the country pretty much runs itself. Meaning, you know, nobody's really paying attention. There's a lot of evil people. A lot of evil people. There's a lot of uneducated people as well. Okay. I was in a situation, and I have been in a situation for a very, very long time. I was placed into a genocide program by Libra 14. Okay. And this has been going on for quite a long time, and I had just recently found out. Okay. This person had the intention of bullying me to the point of suicide, along with a bunch of people that I had worked with, co-workers, family members, and whatever. Okay, I do believe that there was some sort of monetary gain that they were seeking when they did this. Okay, and he made it made people believe that he was perhaps interested in me, and there was always a cover. Okay, now this was a covert operation, and these covert operations get played out just like this little scenario with Kelly and Beth. Okay, it's used to it's very, very invasive. Okay, now who's to say maybe that Beth and Kelly, this is just an example, okay, we're getting along okay, okay, and then something big, a big event comes up in Kelly's life, and now, you know, she's now she went from maybe working, maybe, I don't know, a job of $20 an hour, and now she's making $66 an hour, right? And now her friend is just absolutely, you know, jealous. She's jealous, okay, because Kelly is making improvements in her life. The point of living is to make improvements in our life, okay? And oftentimes when people do make improvements in our life, the bad part of that, the negative side of it, because we do live in hell, okay, we have to deal with demons, okay, literal demons. And in this case, when things get out of the control, anytime you see somebody gossiping and you make some sort of like, they're actually taking steps to go in and infiltrate to the point of where it's affecting their work. Okay, because first of all, it's not a fair advantage, or it's not anything, it's not fair for Kelly to go to work, who's working with the boss, who's a part of this network, who's very going to be very biased in his opinion of her, because the whole point is to bully Kelly. In this case, this is what I've experienced. Okay, especially since leaving Murray Family Farms. Okay, so my thing is that, you know, these covert operations are becoming very common, and it's very terrifying. Okay, it's extremely terrifying that a lot of people, like, these things are getting played out in front of other people, and people are participating in things like gang stalking, human trafficking, and like I said, it becomes almost like the days of where, you know, there's some sort of like a gladiatorial thing where there's a bunch of sick people, you know, cheering on the death of another person. This is a sick mentality that, you know, I've experienced in the workplace and in my environment and everything else. When I found out that Libra 14 was involving himself and disguising himself to be an ally. Okay, and this is why I'm saying, you know, it's important to question who it is that you have in your life when things start going wrong. Okay, now mind you, I didn't know Libra 14 personally. I've only spoken to him like via text messages through things like Telegram. Okay, but the thing is that this person must have been stalking me for a very, very long time, along with another group. Okay, and now I do realize that there was a religious aspect to it. Sometimes people start to use religion as an excuse to bully people. Okay, some people are very insecure about themselves. There was a girl, I don't care, I'm going to mention her name. Her name was Selena Bruce. Okay, and she worked with me at Murray Family Farms. When you're in this network, they want to get vicious, they want to get nasty, they want to get competitive. And what a part of the harassment is that these people like Beth would never tell or say the negative things that she feels towards Kelly, okay, to her face. So what they do is they enact these stupid little scenarios and stuff like this throughout the workplace, okay, because secretly they hate you and they don't want to say it. The reason why they hate you, because you may make them, or in this case, Kelly makes them, okay, feel insecure about themselves. Okay, and this is a very common thing. Like I will say, in the case of Selena Bruce, like I mentioned, she was much way younger than me. Okay, like way younger than me, which I thought was very strange. Okay, but I do understand that I have some sort of connection with celebrities, and this particular person, Libra 14, and all this other stuff. So some people are starstruck, and you know that kind of stuff. First of all, being enacted in the workplace is naturally going to cause a lot of jealousy. Okay, because you have this advantage, right? But the thing is that I didn't know that at the time. Okay. I didn't know that I was being stalked in the workplace. Um, what happened was, I had made some lifestyle changes, which I have every right to do. And during this time, I didn't realize I was being stalked by these particular people. And they basically wanted me to mold and shape me and take away my personal life, the way that I live, and change me. They were enacting a form of menticide on me. And much like this particular example where we're dealing with Beth and Kelly, where the last answer, number 5, is how is the issue to be resolved? Their goal was to kill this person. Libra 14 had the intent of killing me. If he did not have the intent of killing me, he certainly did have me in the sex trafficking program. Okay? And like I said, right now there's so much garbage going on when it comes to the workforce because a lot of corporations got involved in my targeting. Okay? A lot of corporations did. I had Act 1 that was involved in my targeting. I believe Act 1 is supposed to be owned and operated by a black woman. Okay? I believe. Okay? And I was stalked through that agency, just like I was stalked through a bunch of other agencies and a lot of other companies. Okay? And all this time that was going on, I was shocked. I was shocked. Okay? For racial reasons, whether it was racial reasons or religious reasons, the issue is that they had no right to bully someone. And the fact that makes it shocking is that this particular group, this was an orchestrated federal crime. A orchestrated federal crime. Human trafficking is a serious issue. Okay, and I have suffered greatly for it. And I understand it's a covert program. Okay, it is the nature of the program is based off of a Nazi tactic of slow kill or silent kill, meaning like, no touch torture, meaning they didn't have to bound you up in a basement and chain you down to torture you. They want to make sure that you miss out on every opportunity. They want to make sure that you do not feel good about yourself. They want to take things away from you. They want to leave you with nothing. And they want to show off with the things that they have. It's about making your life so utterly miserable that you will commit suicide. Now, I understand that there is money involved. Okay? Libra 14 was extremely corrupt, and he was someone that I would say I had respect for overall because he was a musician, right? And the girl, Selena Bruce, Steve Murray was in on this Nazi operation, and yes, it is a Nazi operation. But these sort of things are not just going, these people, not just minorities are being attacked, but these sort of tactics, these forms of slow genocide, no-touch torture, are going on like crazy. Okay? And you need to recognize the signs of it. This is why I was talking about in one of my videos about warning your families about the dangers of gang stalking, because this is how it starts. This is how it starts. Okay, and you need to be aware of that. Unfortunately, your coworkers will play this game until maybe you either die of a heart attack or something else happens. Okay, because they love the covert nature of the program. They love it. Okay? They think it's all so exciting. This man, Libra 14, was contacting me on Instagram. Okay? He was contacting me on Instagram, and he was like trying to orchestrate as much and get as much information as he possibly could about me. All right? His intention was to use me in some way financially. Prevent me from providing for myself, but take the benefits for himself in some way. You know what I mean? Or, and he tells people lies in order for him to do it. The problem with it is, like I said before, is that, I feel as though people need to understand what some unseen knowledge is. Because I don't see how anyone can live in 2024 without knowing this. Or because people are playing the mask game almost every day. And they will even get your family members. Sometimes it's your family members who are going along with this. Apparently, my siblings were involved in it. Some of the people that I used to know from school were in it. If people will kill you for money, they will kill you for money. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and hide, anything. I'm going to tell you that this particular program was meant just for that, to kill somebody to the point of where they die. Now, I am Prince Alamehu, uh, also known as CB Brazan Braganza, right? And I, have been, working with the cards. Now, see, I work with different forms of divination, but I have not been using them very often. Okay, it's been a long time since I picked up the cards. Okay, I have different decks in my home, and I really haven't been using them as much as I should be. Now, before I go off into another subject, I did mention earlier in the video how, I want to encourage other people to create their own spreads, okay? I created this friend or foe reading. I figured I only needed like 5 different questions. So I went ahead and made 5 little boxes. And I want you to understand that, when you create your own spread, it doesn't have to be about enemies. It could be the topic of maybe you have 5 or more. You might want to make a design of this with even more boxes, okay? You're going to have question 1, the why, or number 2, a step on how to do it. Think of any questions that you want relating to whether it's business, love, romance, gang stalking, okay? Whatever it is, bullying, enemies, whatever, okay? And go ahead and arrange your boxes the way that you want to. In this example, you notice I have the number 1 on the upper left-hand corner, and then number 2 on the upper right-hand corner, and that follows with 3 on the very left-hand corner, and then 4 on the lower right-hand corner, and in the middle, I have the 5th card. Now here's another variation of the same friend or foe reading, okay? Because it doesn't have to necessarily be laid out in the same order or have the same card number identification. You just have to know what you're doing. Like if you're drawing out a few boxes and arranging them a certain way, you might just want to go ahead and write it in as like card number 1, number 2. In this case, I changed the format. Now we have the number 1, card number 1 on the upper left-hand corner, and then we have card number 2 on the lower left-hand corner, and so on and so forth. And in the card number 3 in this time is going to be in the middle. And of course, you don't necessarily have to arrange it in any specific order at all. There's times where, I want to get information or do a quick reading, and then I'll just lay each card out side by side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. So, it's really up to you, but I do encourage you to, sit down and take some time. If number 1, something is bothering you and because of the behavior of other people, okay, this is the purpose of this video, finding out exactly who is your enemy and exactly to what extent are they going to go, to continue their imaginary competition, okay? See how serious the nature is, okay? Because, I've been fighting this targeting issue for the longest time, since I realized that I was a target. And I realized I was a target when I first made this channel in 2015. And I had been actually targeted, looking back, I've been targeted longer than that, okay? But, I had mentioned earlier in the video about the covert nature of this program, okay, and how destructive it is. And how, it makes you wonder exactly how these things are orchestrated, how they're orchestrated, and why they're allowed to be enacted out the way that they are, okay? It's a very dangerous game, and it's, what happened in my case was, obviously, when you're being stalked, they watch your videos, okay? And I know, and I don't care about mentioning the girl Selena, Bruce, and the other. I don't even care about mentioning the employers' names at this point. I mean, because I feel as though their bullying had gotten to the point where these people were intentionally trying to drive me into suicide, and there's no doubt about it, just because of the nature of how this whole situation originated. As everyone knows, I've been making videos for the longest time, and during that time, I have made the discovery that I am Prince Alamehu, and then I am a clone, I should say, of Prince Alamehu, which is the reason why I was targeted for very many years in the workplace. I was a part of a government experiment many years ago. I was born in 1971, and I apparently, they get it when you're young. So it's like when I don't remember, being, any other life other than living with not my biological, but my adopted parents. Okay, but throughout the years, apparently I had been targeted by the British family I'm just going to say the British family. I'm not going to say any who or get very specific, okay, because of the experiment, and then also just the hatred for who I was as a person, because like I mentioned before, when different races don't understand someone, but it wasn't so much about them not understanding, it was more about the fact that this was a competition that they had made up in their mind about race. Okay, it's too deep, but whatever the case is, it was enacted. A lot of the activity was enacted, and also when you're dealing with, jealous, competitive people, they will bring new people into the group, into the fold, okay? And generally, they like to work through people that because obviously you're around them a lot, so they can extract information. So I have been betrayed by pretty much everyone I have ever known. I mentioned earlier in the first part of this video about, how people have to be at a certain level of maturity to understand certain aspects of what they call the occult, okay? Now, there's a lot of people who don't want to know who their enemy is, and they just want to kind of wing it. And you know what? That's fine. You don't have to be that way. You know what I mean? Because what I do is I want to be able to cater to people who, number one, are interested in the occult, okay, and people who have probably been in the occult, or people who just have an interest. I don't twist or bend people's will, okay, but in this situation, when they brought their religious issue, their religious views were trying to be crammed down my throat, okay, but what I'm saying is, part of the reason why I'm making the Swan Song Manifesto is because I feel as though things that I've done in my life and certain things that I've used in not just in my spiritual life, but just certain decisions that I've made in my life, okay, that I feel as though have benefited me tremendously, okay, and I think the people who have been observing me resent me extremely a lot for it, and they thought that it was okay to enact, their bullying tactics out on me, okay, like as if they were launching some sort of war, okay. There are laws in our country. Now, I understand people are completely ignorant of the laws, because this is just sadly how I've discovered how things do not really operate as they should. Okay, just like in any real situation, if things operated the way that they should, okay, we would not have as many targeted individuals that we do today. Okay, I have always been, because of my traits, okay, which is one of the reasons why, I would say the main reason why I'm targeted, okay. I have what they call, and this, I hate saying it because people, it's like, I know that it feels a lot of tension among people who have resented me for several years and who have targeted me for this reason, okay. I do have superior traits. Okay, meaning like this is one of the reasons why I make the decision. This is the reason why I have decided to pick through this whole entire thing and unravel every goddamn thing, right down to the stupid fucktard Libra 14. Okay, and I will tell you that we live in a very vicious, vicious, malicious, covert world where just about everybody wears a mask. And what's weird about it is a lot of these people don't even know that they're wearing a mask. They normalize this sick behavior. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, I had been targeted by people who claim to be Christian people, and I have seen the wicked side and the wicked nature of people. You know what I mean? And then it got to the point where I honestly did. They weren't even wearing the mask anymore. They just seemed overtly wicked. Okay? This country pretty much runs itself, like I said before. What I mean by that is like, it's funny because when I was little, I knew the laws, at least basic laws, okay? Like I knew the curfew hour that we had in our community. I was respecting it. It's like, shit, I got to get in. It's 10 o'clock. Or when I was a little bit older, if I knew that I was a little bit past the curfew, because back then, we could leave the doors open at night and we'd hang out or whatever. If I knew I was out after curfew, I at least knew that I would try to hide myself out when I was outside a little bit, because I knew that if they did catch me, I can get in trouble. But even though I might have been being a little bit of a rebellious kid by being out after curfew, I knew that what the hour was. So I always believed that there was a certain, that other people who were considered good citizens followed those guidelines. And I honestly thought this my entire life, right? Because it's the law. You know what I mean? Or it's a certain, not restriction, but some sort of like ordinance or whatever. And I always thought that people thought, we're supposed to uphold those, make sure their children knew what they were. So because those were the guidelines that you had to follow. I realized throughout the years, though, that obviously I am, okay? And I get the fact that, there were some people who were competing against me in a very malicious way, okay? To the point of where they wanted to drive me to suicide. Obviously, they, because I was reincarnated, or I'm the clone of reincarnated, whatever, Prince Alamehu CB Braganza. I honestly do think that these people knew the history of this person and took pleasure. Libra 14 took pleasure in the entire thing. Some people get sexually turned on by torture, torment. This is something that a lot of people, I don't know if maybe he was conducting this sort of stuff like on the dark web or in certain private chat rooms or whatever, but we have a very, very sick society. And there's a lot of people who are involved in this issue. A lot of people involved in it, okay? And I am absolutely disturbed by the entire thing. And when I think of like these people who were attacking me for my belief system, okay, but see, I would honestly tell you that the whole attack of my belief system is a lie. That was an excuse. This whole issue was 100% racial. 100% racial. Okay, and so how they use the people to get the cooperation of other people is they fire them up, acting as if this is a God thing, like as if God is telling these people to do these sort of things. And it's not. This is the reason why the United States wanted to establish themselves separate from England, because saying things like identifying things with God as if God is in control of something could create this sort of chaos. It could create this sort of dangerous control. So the United States was separate from England, okay? For other reasons too, okay? But whatever. And this is how it's always been since the establishment of America. Since the establishment of America, I have found out that a lot of people are surprised that the United States has freedom of religion, okay? So obviously I've had to suffer a lot among people who were ignorant. I am somebody who, I am not perfect. I do not claim to be perfect, but I obviously have superior standards, superior mannerisms and everything. You do not have the right to try to kill me for it. Okay? You don't have the right to try to, and I understand your position and your power and whatever. I'm not going to go into the who's who or anything, but I will talk about your fucked up flunky Libra 14. or he's the face of what you were trying to do, and he was the proud orchestrator of this Nazi plan that he had laid out. Okay, and the fat little fucked up bitch over at Murray Family Pharmacy was helping him do all this sort of stuff. These people are very sick. Okay, but then, like I said, they had a lot of participation, including my black family, my ex-black family, and I'm talking about both sides, adoptive and as well as my biological people. Okay, so I realize what we cannot see can harm us, and I will say that I'm grateful to have intuition. Okay, I have intuition. Like, there's no tarot card reading, there's no playing card reading that could have told me, Maria, you're Prince Alamehu. That's impossible. Okay, they don't have any card that prints that on there. Okay, I know that I have mental powers that other people don't have. Okay, I don't deserve to be bullied for them. Okay, and also I'd like to mention that I am a 53-year-old woman who these people wanted to beat me out of my vibrant health. They wanted to beat me out of my vibrant health. You cannot do that, and I will not let you do that. Okay? Your body, your whole entire immune system is based on how you take care of your body. And I understand I live in a society that has gone completely backwards. Completely backwards. Okay? It is not my fault if I understand how to take care of myself. I don't need to be penalized. The sad part is that society has lost its standard system. Okay, and I choose to stay with those standards. You don't threaten my life for it. What I need to do is, I am totally willing to go off and live in the country in a remote place if I have to. Okay, I'm not interested in sitting here trying to argue among people, but everybody seems to want to argue with me. You know what I mean? What did I want to say here? So yeah, the U.S., unfortunately, and apparently same with England, because England didn't know that people had the right to practice their religious views. Like, the whole thing is that everybody knows I'm an occultist. Now, some people would sit there and call me a witch. No, I will tell you what the actual classification of what I am, and the reason why I am targeted, and I am not in any way trying to brag or freak people out. By the definition of the very fact that I have two intuitive skills, mental skills, what they call occultic skills, whatever, makes me a deity. Plain and simple. Okay, like a deity, like a kind of deity, like, I don't want to say Jesus or something like that, because people would think that I'm trying to replace Jesus, or I'm competing with Jesus, or some other deity. I'm just saying is, some people have psychic gifts, some people have gifts of like healing, some people have whatever, but I have like a bunch of them all in one, whereas like one person may only have one gift. Okay, I'm one of those people. Okay, and apparently, according to what I understand intuitively from my downloads, I call them mental downloads, the Prince Alamehu who could fly and do all these bizarre things and possibly may have been an immortal. Okay, trip out. Okay, it's very trippy. All right, but the same thing is that I'm somebody who comes in peace. I'm not somebody who ever lashed out or tried to hurt anybody, but I do have to deal with, my biggest suffering is I have to deal and live among people who are immoral. I live among moral people. Now, I grew up reading the Bible when I was younger. That was my foundation, and I chose not to follow mainstream religion. That's my choice, okay? But I did study the Bible when I was younger. And it's funny because when I look at the conditions of the world standards and everything, I mean, I have to say, this place really is hell. It really is hell. But do I believe that hell's in another dimension or something? No, I believe hell's here. I believe hell's here. You know what I mean? Because, just by the fact that people basically exist on hamster wheels, their life is set up to be basically pointless, and I have a hard time dealing with that sort of mentality. You know what I mean? Because I feel as though, even I know that this place sucks. There's just no fucking doubt about it. It really does suck having to be on this shitty platform. Okay? And the reason why is because, mainly because things do kind of run by themselves. You know what I mean? There's murderous people, just such as Libra 14. Murderous, crazy people, I'm going to say, such as, Libra 14. What I find disgusting about, Libra 14 and other people who are associated with racial identity type groups who want to target people of other races, okay, which is obviously this is how they manage to do this. I've dealt with hypocritical racist pretty much all my life, and I understand what the whole nature of the problem is that they want to feel like, they want to experience greatness, okay? They do, okay? And so to them, like, I find this funny, like when white people like me or something, their like towards me is usually very warped. It's almost like where they're fascinated with me to the point of where, they're looking at me in a microscope. Okay, and it makes me very uncomfortable, and I wish they would stop it. You know what I mean? And I'm very open about how much I set boundaries. Okay, these people knew no boundaries. Okay, so we had people from England coming over here, thinking or using religion as an excuse. And I'm going to tell you what, I never got the feeling one time that this was a holy thing. I never once thought that this was something good. I felt like this whole thing was wicked from the get-go. From the get-go. And, it's hard for someone like me to have to exist among weak people. It is. But, and I understand that they don't have, like, for example, the group that I'm walking away from, the so-called, foes, the people who were orchestrating my death, the people who were a part of it, even the people who to me were innocent, so-called innocent bystanders, okay? You know, you look at these people and you cannot help but find nothing but disgust in them. You know what I mean? And it's funny because, like, the moral standards of people are so fucking low. Like, it's hard for people to actually get the kind of help that they need who are in desperate situations. You know what I mean? I rarely see organizations that do anything to help anybody. I really don't see it. To me, it's just a bunch of people, filling spaces, people, filling positions in their job, basically people getting paid, people, what is that thing called? Quiet. It seems like the whole goddamn world just started on this quiet quitting phase. I mean, like, it's a craze where, like, nobody's doing nothing. You know what I mean? Lawyers aren't doing shit, whatever. This shit runs rampant. I mean, when you think of the numbers in human trafficking, it is shocking. You know what I mean? It's shocking. And these sort of murderous plots that get played out. This was a murderous plot where a lot of people got involved in this and directed it towards me. And I, had mentioned that my father also was a victim of this program, and they are responsible for my father's death. And this is one of the reasons why when I found out Libra 14 and put everything together as to what his trip was, I felt as though I needed to make a video on it, which I made one on another channel. Okay. And I realized that, this man was targeting me along with a bunch of other people. It seemed like there was a lot of people involved in this, and this dude, I was basically trying to step on my ability to take care of myself, either in an attempt to, which I believe he was meant to kill me. I think his intention was to kill me, and in the silent manner that he could. And I know that I had mentioned that I had just recently started an account over on Patreon last autumn. I do believe that Libra 14 was orchestrating my employment, and when I left my final job, he took it upon himself to force his way into into getting information about me establishing online accounts in certain places. And see, this is where, we have a lot of violation of privacy and people being impressed with somebody who has a name or whatever, allowing them to do these sort of things. That's what they do. You know what I mean? Without mentioning too many names. But I will thrash Libra 14's name the rest of my days. Because here's a man who literally watched somebody go downhill and seriously enjoyed it. He was a very torturous person, along with, I would say, I would put my brother in that category, because everybody knew that I filed papers at the court system so that my brother would, because my brother was incestuous, okay? And I didn't want to have anything to do with him. And then I ended up getting targeted by Libra 14, who fucks his daughter. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck do you think I would want you for? You know what I mean? I don't want that. And he probably thinks, well, I'm a white dude, she can't resist me. Yet, dude, I can totally resist you, okay? Especially since you fucked my career up and you sucked up my goddamn life. And, I'm deserving of fucking, lawsuits, but because it was such an orchestrated underground crime, hate crime, okay, they got the participation of all kinds of people. And now here I am at 53 years old with Mr. White racist, whatever you want to call it, Aryan, whatever his name is, okay, Mr. Libra 14, who just so happened to be a singer in a band that I thought was really cool when I was growing up, okay. He's mentally ill, okay, and it's disgusting. You know what I mean? And like I said, if you want to fuck your daughter, that's fine, but leave me the fuck alone. You don't fucking touch my shit, okay? And the reason why he was touching my shit is because he had no respect of me, for me as a human being. See, the funny thing about racist people is that deep down inside, he thinks I'm the shit. He fucking admires me, right? But he wishes that he could be something important. I had a conversation with him one time, and he was telling me, I need you to obey, or I need a woman who's going to obey. And I'm thinking, dude, only a dog obeys. I'm not going to fucking obey you. You know what I mean? You really fucking need that, don't you? Well, I'm not going to fucking obey you, Mr. fucking white racist piece of shit. I ain't giving you shit. You know what I mean? You have the nerve to sit here. Okay, and the funny part about him is that the funny part about him is, okay, I'm supposed to be, inferior. He's going to treat me inferior as an inferior person. He's going to sit here and put me in a genocide program, so on and so forth, right? And then he's going to sit here and turn around and expect me to fucking take care of his financial problems. That's slavery, okay? This is the mentality of a lot of white racist people, okay? They're very weak. They're inferior in their way of thinking. I'm not saying they're inferior in any other way. I'm saying is their obsession about trying to prove a point or trying to create races. What I mean by races is competitions, okay? Competitions that nobody fucking gives a shit about. This whole thing to me was a fucking goddamn waste of time. I never threatened anyone, okay? But it's not about a waste of time. It's about the sickness of white people ignoring this very issue that they've been denying and sweeping under the carpet for God knows how long. Okay, and now it's in their face, and they really can't deny it. I'm starting to see things on TV about people trying, and I'm not a political person, okay? You will never see me campaigning about, the hate and, trying to, convince white people of their fucking privilege and everything. I don't say anything about that, okay? You know what I mean? To me, that shit goes in one ear and out the other. I understand that they do have privileges, okay? And I understand why they fucking have privileges, okay? But whatever the case is, I had to suffer for many years because of their bullshit, because of their hate crime. You know what I mean? Very sick person. So anyway, it's important that you do know what's going on, okay? When you see, interacting with people, start questioning their intention. I know it sucks to live in a world where, like, you have to. It really sucks that we have to, but it's not just me, okay? I'm just somebody who was in a situation where it was obvious, like, people were stabbing me in the back. Okay, but I understand. I've heard conversations of other people. I've heard how like people disrespect somebody when they're not around, and when the next person comes around, they're suddenly changing the tune. Like people fucking have this mask all the time. They're playing this game, this two-faced game, to survive in a wicked system. So, like I said, they will fucking like they will stab you in the back if they fucking feel like it. So it's quite dangerous. So anyway, let me just see what other messages I have really quick. Let's see. Yeah, I was thinking about, I need to talk more about what my plans are. I'm trying very hard. My biggest barrier about getting my social media fixed is that Libra 14 has basically tried to black me out on social media. He had me blacklisted. And then he also was in cahoots with some of these people who, run like, online things like, YouTube and other companies, right? Preventing me from getting proper viewership, preventing me from getting whatever it is. He basically wants to get either some sort of credit for my stuff, or associate with me on whatever, or spy on me, or whatever, okay? And anyway, this is what this man put in place. He had every intention of killing me, and this is one of these signs that people go through when they are on these blacklist. Okay, but apparently these people create, start looking for targets and stuff like this. Sometimes it starts in the workplace. I think I've made enough videos on how all that stuff starts. Okay, but these are some of the things that you experience. Okay, because their intention is for you not to survive. Now, I had opened my Patreon channel in October, and I know that he was messing around with it, and he felt as he was entitled to to do what he did, and I think he's a very wicked person for even like touching my stuff, But anyway, I digress. See, this is the reason why I stick with scripts, okay? But I was trying to get people what they want. You know what I mean? So it's a combination. I'm trying to figure out exactly what people want. And I hope that I explain things well for you. If you want to get the informational guide on this particular spread and demonstration, you can get it on Patreon. I will go ahead and release the instructional pamphlet for this. And I would like to thank you guys for watching my video. And also, I do also want to say something really quick about churches. I think a lot of these people, they also did have a lot of churches band together to target me, to ostracize me, to basically put me in a genocide program. A lot of this is, I believe, what they call like Christian funded, where like Christians, people who identified with the Christian religion and faith like that, it was like some sort of like private organization to try to paint me out like I'm some sort of bad person. I can't say that I'm surprised that they would sit there and stoop so low, and I know that a lot of people got their fucking karma. Okay? People should never use God as an excuse for the wickedness, okay? Because that shit will fucking turn back on you. Okay? So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful night, and I do hope that you will check me out on Patreon. I could certainly use the help. And I do want to give people the entertainment that they they absolutely deserve. I do have plans to move and improve Patreon. Hopefully Patreon will work with me at once now that Libra 14 hopefully is out of the way. I will not, I'm not going to stop talking about this issue, and I will even go so far to even throw his name out. I would like to say that this particular person knows that he knows that I'm pissed off. He knows that what he did was wrong. I am not going to stop talking about him and what he's done, and because he's an evil person. So anyway, like I said, take care, and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this video and wish to see the first lesson on the series titled Divination Before Spell Work, click on the link in the description box.